All right, let's do some mole to mole practice. Again, this isn't something that should be very difficult. It should be something that's relatively easy to master as long as you do some practice problems and try to do so ASAP. Nothing we learn by itself is very difficult, but it's when you procrastinate and wait to the last minute to learn all of it that it becomes difficult because, while one piece isn't too bad, when you combine it together, it does get a bit complicated. So for our first reaction, we're going to combine nitrogen and hydrogen to form ammonia, which is NH3. So we'll have N2 plus 3H2 combining to form 2NH3. So in this case, or in this example, we're going to say that we want 8.00 moles of NH3. How many moles of H2 and N2 do we need? So again, we're going to start off with what we want and the thing that's not a conversion unit. We're going to use 8.00 moles of NH3. Note that I have all three parts of my measurement, the number, the unit, and the subject. And then I'm going to go into what my question is asking, right? So first it asks off for H2. So then I'm going to use my recipe or my chemical reaction to get my mole to mole ratio. So I have 2NH3 is equal to 3H2. So I'll put those 2NH2 on the bottom. That way it cancels out. And then I'll put that's 3H2 on the top. And then the NH3 and the NH3 cancel out. I'm left with moles of NH2 or moles of H2, which is exactly what I want. And then I go ahead, do the math, and I find 12.0 moles of H2. And then I'll just repeat the process for N2. So I'll start off with my 8 moles of ammonia. And remember that the mole to mole ratio given in the chemical equation refers to moles, right? So then I have 2 NH3s gives me 1 N2. So I have 2 NH3 down on the bottom, 1 N2 on the top. The NH3 and the NH3 cancel out. I'm left with moles of N2, which is exactly what I want. And then I go ahead and do the math, and I get 4.00 moles of N2. So if we want 8 moles of ammonia, we need to combine 12 moles of H2 and 4 moles of N2. Let's take a look at another example. So this example says I have 24 moles of water. How many moles of SO2 and O2 do I need to fully react? And we're given a chemical equation. We're going to have 2 SO2s combining with a molecule of O2, combining with 2 H2Os to form 2 sulfuric acids, 2 H2SO4s. And in your work-alongs and quizzes and exams, sometimes I'll just give you a description of the reaction, expect you to write out the chemical reaction. Sometimes I'll give you a chemical reaction, expect you to balance it. And sometimes I'll just give it all to you. Since we're just practicing, I'll just give it all to you. So we'll start off with our 24 moles of water. And then I'll start answering my questions. So I need to know about SO2. So then I'll find my water and my SO2 in my chemical equation, and it's in a 2-to-2 ratio. So 2 H2O on the bottom, that way it cancels out to 2 SO2 on the top. The water and the water cancels out. And then I'm left with moles of SO2, which is exactly what I want. I do the math and I figure out, yep, 24 moles of SO2, which makes sense because they are in the same ratio. And then I'll do the other part right for the O2, have my H2O there, my O2 there. Again, I'll start off with my 24 moles of water. Then I'll go ahead and convert over 2 H2O down on the bottom. That way they cancel out. 1 O2 on the top, cancel, cancel. And then remember that all these numbers refer to moles, right? So if you want, you can write it as 1 mole of O2 over 1 mole of H2 as well. That's totally fine. It's up to you. Just remember that they refer to moles. And then go ahead and do the math. You get 12 moles of O2. So in this case, we compared all reactants. You see, we don't necessarily have to think about the products. You can think about any piece of the recipe, right? For your like sandwich analogy, if you have, 10 slices of bread, how many slices of cheese do you need? Same thing here. Let's do one more here. We're going to combine aluminum and iodide to form aluminum triiodide. So 2Al plus 3 I2s goes to 2AlI3. Right, aluminum plus iodine gets us aluminum iodide. And then we'll say I have 6 moles of Al. How many moles of Al I3 can I make if I have excess I2, right? So here we're going to compare a reactant to the product. So again, I'll start off with kind of what the question is asking, 6 moles of Al. That's our given information. That's not a conversion unit. And then I'll use my chemical equation to figure out the rest. So I see for every 2 Als, I get 2 products. So 2 Al down here, 2 Ali3 up top. Al and Al cancel out. And then you get 6 moles of aluminum iodide, which makes sense because they're in the same ratio. Again, just get some practice in. This shouldn't be too bad, but if you don't practice it now, it's going to come back to bite you.